Welcome to Daily Truths with Dave Ahlman.
Hi, everybody. It's so good to see you this morning. You really can't see you, but I'm just saying. So, have you ever had it where you're praying to God and you're thinking to yourself, and it's because Satan is working on you, you're thinking to yourself, he's not really listening to me. I mean, there's so many other people that are out there that are talking to him all at the same time. How in the world can he focus just on me? And when Satan has his way like that, you know, we start to become filled with doubt and despair and anxiety and even depression because we think, what good is it to pray? Is God really focused on me and me alone when I pray? Well, that brings us to Matthew chapter 8, and this is such a powerful passage found in the book of Matthew, and I'm going to take this apart. Matthew chapter 8, verses 5, 6, and 7. When Jesus entered Capernaum, a centurion came forward to him, appealing to him, "Lord, my servant is lying paralyzed at home, suffering terribly." And Jesus said to him, "I will come and heal him." Okay, let's take this apart. First of all, Capernaum is on the northwest side of the Sea of Galilee. It's a beautiful port city. This is where Peter, Andrew, James, and John were from. Remember, this is close to where Jesus called them to follow him to become fishers of men. Capernaum is still there. There's an archaeological dig that's taken place there. Peter's home is there. Yeah, it's a pretty cool place, and it's situated beautifully on the shore of the Sea of Galilee. So this is where this centurion lived. There was a Roman legion where the centurion had 80 to 100 men that he was over. So he knew what it was like to be in charge, and he knew what it was like to tell people what to do. So this centurion obviously was a believer in Jesus. And it's really interesting. Most of Jesus' ministry was conducted with people who were Jewish, right? But here is this Gentile, this centurion, who had tremendous faith. How do we know he had tremendous faith? Because in verse 6, he says, Lord, in other words, kurios, that's the Greek word, Savior, Master, Redeemer, King, promised Messiah. Because he'd heard so much about Jesus and his miracle-working power, and had probably heard people talking about the Sermon on the Mount and how profound those teachings really were, he was convinced that Jesus was the Messiah. So he says, Lord, my servant is paralyzed at home, suffering terribly. So not only was this guy a believer, he had great compassion. And he thought about this precious servant that was serving him and serving other people, and how good he was at it, and how he was suffering so terribly. This centurion was filled with compassion and consolation for his servant. Verse 7, and Jesus said to him, I will come and heal him. In other words, Jesus didn't hesitate. He listened to those words. He listened to the plea, and he said, boom, I'm going to do it. Because you have great faith, and we're going to talk about that in the days ahead. Because your faith is there, I listen to what you're saying, and I will do what you want me to do. Now, I want you to go back to the question I asked initially at the beginning of this podcast. Do you sometimes feel like God isn't listening because there's so many other pleas and requests all at the same time, millions of them? How can he focus just on me? You might be thinking. Well, he can, because he's God. Have you ever had it? I had a wonderful conversation with a dear friend of mine, a pastor friend that I only met him about 3 weeks ago, and he has become a dear friend in a very short time. He's the new University Lutheran Chapel pastor at CU, Colorado University. His name is Rob Jarvis. And I was talking to him yesterday, and I was telling him about some of the things in my life and about how our youngest son went through a very difficult thing when he was 6 and got in an accident. And this guy was so riveted on what I was saying, and tears were coming to his eyes as I explained what we went through during that time. He was focused fully on me, and I started to think, that's the way God is when we talk to him in prayer. Even though there's maybe millions of requests coming to him all at the same time, I visualize Jesus, or God the Father, looking across the table at me, his eyes fully intent, fully focused, feeling compassion, listening to my request. Now, in this text, Jesus' immediate answer was, I will heal him. But that's not the point I want to get across today. My point is, don't let Satan fill you with doubt and despair about whether God is really focused on you, fully focused on you when you pray. He is. You can be assured of that, and you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to question. You don't have to wonder. And when you do, who's winning the battle? Satan is. So tell him to get out of your life. Focus fully on what you're saying. Know that God is fully focused on you, and he will answer because he is fully attentive to our prayers. That's what he was doing with this soldier. The soldier said, Lord, my servant's in tough straits. He's suffering terribly. He's paralyzed. Please heal him. And Jesus said, I can, and I will. My friend, during your prayer time, that's Jesus saying to you, I can listen to you. I will listen to you. And most of the time, I will do what you request. What an awesome God we serve. What an amazing Savior we follow. Pray to him. Go boldly before his throne. He is fully attentive to your prayer, fully focused on you. And you say, well, there's millions of people. How could he be that way? How can he do that with me? He can, he does, because he's God. Have a great day in Jesus Christ. And that is today's Daily Truth.
Thank you for tuning in to Daily Truths with Dave Ahlman. If this ministry is blessing you, please consider supporting us by sharing this channel with a friend. You can also like, comment, subscribe, or leave a review. This helps us tremendously. Come back tomorrow for your next Daily Truth.